Well, I have to admit it. I'm sorry. This is my third take on this video. I made a factual error on the second take, and I just go ahead and I'll just scrap it and remake this video. In one of my favorite summers, the summer of 1971. How you doing? It's Mr. DJ back, outsourcing Billboard's Hot 100 the week of July 17th, 1971. Peanut Gallery. Do you know what time it is? Don't know anything about the Peanut Gallery. Tried to find some information about the band or the act itself online, but just came up short. Came up empty. That's it. Went to number 62 on Billboard's Hot 100. It was at 62 the week of July 17th, 1971. It would not get any higher than that. Bubblegum Delightful record. It was a homage to the Howdy Doody show back in the 50s. Nostalgia for the 50s, starting to make itself felt as early as the summer of 1971 as the Vietnam War gradually de-escalates in an agonizing way. The Pentagon Papers released in the summer of 71. They break in at Daniel Ellsberg's office in 1971. The formation of the plumbers and the Nixon administration, 1971, setting the stage for Watergate. Watergate itself intensifying the nostalgia for the 50s. That will culminate in shows like Happy Days, movies like American Graffiti, Old Days by Chicago, Harry Truman by Chicago by the mid-70s. But we're in 1971 right now, and even though I don't know anything about this band, I know a little something about the record label. The Buddha record label, the legendary Buddha record label. I love the label insignia. It was so colorful. And gosh, a lot of my favorite songs were on this record label. It was a bubblegum record label in the late 60s. In the late 60s, it was helmed by a fellow named Niels Bogart. And I'll get into Niels Bogart in just a minute. But the first number one hit from the Buddha record label, Green Tambourine by the Lemon Pipers. Jelly Jungle, another one by the Lemon Pipers. Rice is Nice. Yes, I love that bubble gum, that sweet bubble gum. Don't you just love it? Also, 1910 Fruit Gum Company, also, that's sugar sweet too. Special delivery, 123 Red Light on the Buddha record label. First single released by the Buddha record label, first single they put out. I love this. God dog it. This is straight from the Banana Splits playbook. Yes, we have no bananas by the Mulberry Fruit Band. By the early 70s, though, Buddha Records started to branch out. But before I get into that, let me mention something about Niels Bogart. I read about him about 5 or 6 years ago. It was a hell of a read. One of the most fascinating characters, flamboyant characters you're going to ever run across. But it didn't start out that way. In the late 60s, Niels Bogart was as straight as an arrow. Suit, tie, short hair, briefcase, short sideburns. Forget about this counterculture stuff. I don't want to have anything to do with it. I'm here to make hit singles. Period. The women who worked under him were required to wear skirts, no pants. The dress code was a lot more strict in the late 60s than it is now. But things changed dramatically by 1970. Legend has it that Niels Bogart got embroiled in a relationship with a secretary or a woman who worked under him at Buddha Records. She turned him on to marijuana, and that changed everything. We are now entering into a different dimension. Niels Bogart loosened up. His hair, short, close cropped, morphed into an afro as the 70s progressed. They branched out. Some of the records put out by the Buddha record or the associated record labels, particularly the Kama Sutra record label, Oh Happy Day by the Edwin Hawkins Singers, Uneasy Rider by Charlie Daniels, One Toke Over the Line by Brewer and Shipley, Put Your Hand in the Hand by Ocean, and The Rapper by the Jaggers. featuring Donnie Iris, all put out by Buddha or their associated record labels. But it gets even better. You see, Niels Bogart left Buddha in 1972, 73. He formed his own record label, Casablanca. First big signing for Casablanca, Kiss, 1973. But they became better known as a disco label to Casablanca's detriment. When disco imploded, so did Casablanca. But boy, they made a run of it. Donna Summer was on that label. Village People, Parliament, the P-Funk guys. We want the funk. Yes, all on the Buddha label. And boy, that place was nuts. There's some, I can't go into all the stories I read about that place, what went on in there. But one story I will share with you that I read. When a song by Cher went to #1, Niels Bogart was so delighted he set a desk on fire within the record label, within the company. I mean, it was something else. I guess that's all I got to say about this record by the Peanut Gallery. Do you know what time it is? Certainly did digress into Niels Bogart. He did pass away tragically in the early 80s. But he had a nice little run of hits, though. You read about the history of rock and roll and pop music, chances are you're going to run into his name. Number 62, the week of July 17th, 1971, it is the Peanut Gallery. Do you know what time it is?